Hi my internet friends, how are you guys today? Today I am actually going to be doing a true crime video, but it's going to be different than others. I actually have this quite wonderful book. Hold on. This book right here. It has hundreds of serial killers. The cover page is literally Ted Bundy. So with that being said, because I don't know how to put photos and things like that into my videos yet, I'm going to use this book for my 2 to 3 videos that I'll be posting sometime soon. Today, we will be covering H.H. Holmes. My note sheet is from the book and also just from knowledge I have of the case. And the reason I chose this one is because he's known as America's first serial killer, so I thought it would be kind of fitting. I will still be doing John Benet Ramsey as soon as I figure out how to put photos into my videos. But as of right now, this is what we're doing. I will also be doing my makeup and smoking. Because it is a heavier case, I am of legal age and a legal state. I will be having my vape and my piece. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start with is I got this book as a gift 2 years ago for Christmas, and I was shocked that there was actually 3 cases in the book I had never heard of before. And so those will be the next 3 I cover after this one. As I said, I'm covering this one because he is America's first serial killer, so it's a well-known case. Something that I want to mention right off the bat from my notes is H.H. Holmes is portrayed in American Horror Story as James Patrick March. I just thought that was really cool that H.H. Holmes and James Patrick March both have 3 names. I thought that was unique. So I'm not going to be directly reading from the book. I've taken notes out of the section of the book to explain. But if you don't know who H.H. Holmes is, he, as I said, he's known as America's first serial killer. Now, before I start talking about all that, I am going to read the little caption by his photo here. It says, at his Chicago hotel for young ladies, con artist, swindler, and polygamist Herman Mudgett, below the picture below, trapped some 100 victims one by one, then gassed and tortured them to death. That's some heavy information, so I'm going to take a hit. By the way, if you hear some music in the back, that is my fiance listening to music. Alright, next part. I am going to read start explaining, and then if I need to reference the book, I absolutely will. H.H. Holmes was not born H.H. Holmes. He was born Herman Mudgett in 1861. In 1861. He started going by H.H. Holmes in 1886. If you know the case, then you know he is the one that has the murder castle that was in Chicago. The murder castle shortly burned down after his arrest in 1894. It is kind of a bummer that it burned down because I'm sure people would love to see it, but I also am kind of glad it's not around anymore because maybe people shouldn't go see it, but he went to school and he was actually pretty smart. That's the unfortunate thing. He was smart, but he did get caught, so. He was a murderer, a con artist, swindler, He mostly targeted young women, but it wasn't like he was just going after women. He went after everybody. Okay, putting my book down. And starting my makeup. A little note, I first heard of H.H. Holmes when I was in high school. One of my friends was actually researching him, and I don't want to say I was intrigued is not the right word. I was fascinated by how he got away with it for so long. And then my friend told me that she believed he was Jack the Ripper. And I could see that, but I'm also not sure. So I'm going to leave that right there. If he was, then it would make sense because he wasn't in the States. He was in London just during that time. So that's the part where my brain kind of goes, it's a possibility. It's not for sure, but it's a possibility. So one thing he was known for is he married several women. His first wife, he never divorced. He just stayed married to her. And then married other women and was with other women. That, I don't actually have any notes of that in my book for some reason. It strictly talks about his crime. So that is what I'm trying to do. Hold on a moment. Okay. As I read from the book, he had some 100 victims or more. I think more, honestly. But in his murder castle, there was gas chambers. There was lots of other things like that. If I had access to the photos, I would be posting them now, but I don't. One thing that got me after I would listen to the videos about him, because I've watched several, is he had a friend that he trusted, and then years later he ended up murdering him for an insurance payout. His name is Benjamin Peitzel. I'm not sure, but I've heard it said both ways. He murdered his friend for an insurance payout. I mean, come on, that's terrible. But that's what he did. He was arrested in 1894. It wasn't for the murders, it was actually for insurance fraud. And then he died 2 years later. He was caught and died 2 years later. I think, does it say? Let's see. His castle was in Chicago, and it was basically right next to the World Fair, which, if you don't know what that is, they don't, I want to say they don't have it anymore. I mean, as far as my research found, they don't have it anymore, but the World's Fair was like, World's Fair, basically in California, what we have now is, we call it the fair. It's comes during the summer. It's here for a little bit. You go, you ride rides, you have food. From what I've seen in movies, it's pretty much the same thing. Mudgett was hanged on May 7th, 1869 in Philadelphia, even while investigators still pieced together the regime of evil. So when he was hanged, he left a lot of things unanswered. Of course, it happens all the time. Actually, people are still trying to figure it out. the thing that always, like, got me is how he got away with it at the time for as long as he did, and probably because of the time it was. I'm sure if it was in today's ages, he wouldn't have gotten away with it for nearly as long, or if at all. The reason why people, like, I guess, trusted him was because he was handsome, which you hear that a lot with these true crime things, is he was handsome, he was conventionally attractive. I mean, I've heard that about Ted Bundy, I heard that about Jeffrey Dahmer, and of course America's First Serial Killer, they're saying the same thing. I have to say I would think it would be for the time period, for sure. Again, I don't think a man with the mustache and the top hat and all that would get away with it now. Okay, so even in death, he remained unique. At his request, he had his body encased in a pine casket, was embedded in cement and buried 10 feet deep under another 2 feet of cement. He wished he had said to be safe from grave robbers and medical science. So, the man that tortured people was afraid of being tortured in death. I find that incredibly ironic. Just saying. Yeah. That's definitely something. A lot of people that I talk to, especially in the true crime community, if I say H.H. Holmes, they know exactly who I mean. And so, I figured this would be a shorter video, which it kind of is because so many people know the case, and I don't want to just continue to regurgitate old facts. I tried to find something new about the case, which I really didn't. But I wanted to do this one because I thought it'd be short, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to do while doing my makeup, fully trying out this whole true crime thing. And that's why I picked someone that would be so recognizable and known, and I don't want to say loved, but like I said, being in the true crime community for 6 years now, and watching all the stuff, and watching all the true crime creators I love have created this man, or not created, but covered this man, and just, they always say the same things, and that's why I'm very careful with what I'm saying, because I could go back and watch those videos, and everything I've said has already been said in those videos, so not exactly exciting. I haven't seen anyone else with a book, though, so I thought that'd be kind of cool. I wish I could, like, blow up the photo. I'll probably put one on on YouTube later. I'll take a picture of the book and the article and go from there. One thing I always found super interesting about H.H. Holmes is he seemed to be very charming. Like, yeah. Something I didn't remember to mention that I'm going to mention now is he would sell the skeletons of his victims to medical schools. Yeah. So, that's just insane. And incredibly morbid. We're gonna let's do something dark to match the tone. as much as let's see. He was not caught for murder. He was actually caught for fraud. Ironically, it was not murder, but fraud that eventually led to the Slayer's undoing. Investigating an East Coast insurance scam, authorities discovered that Holmes had dispatched a Philadelphia man who was his partner in schemes while the killer was in custody in Philadelphia, part of his castle burned, as I've already mentioned. Despite the fire, police found evidence of slaughter through the summer, and the list of suspected victims grew to 20. Authorities later placed the likely toll closer to 100 or higher, including men, women, and children. Mudgett was never charged with the Chicago authorities. His partner he confessed not only to the slaying of his partner, but also 27 other killings, and an additional 6 attempted homicide. In at least one case, he reported with evident shock, he killed even though there was no money in it. I committed, H.H. Holmes quotes here, I committed this and other crimes for the pleasure of killing my fellow beings. Yeah, so he killed just because he enjoyed killing. That's terrible. That's horrid. One of the other murders that stuck out, I can't quote that like that. One of the other murders that stuck out to me every time I listened to the videos is right after he got the murder castle, he also had a pharmacy, and one of the ladies that worked for him, he had a relationship, if you will, with her, and then he killed her. I don't get it. I don't, but yeah. There's hundreds of documentaries on Mr. Holmes, and there's hundreds of YouTube videos on him as well, because him being America's first serial killer, well, people are fascinated. People want to know more and things like that, so he is quite popular. As I mentioned earlier, AHS even made a character basically just like him, just changed the name. And yeah, I mean, even if you were to look up James Patrick March, just the resemblance of H.H. Holmes and James Patrick March, you could just tell. If you're curious to what season that is, I believe that's season 5. I know it's called Hotel. Yes, there's several embellishments in the show as well, but if you want to just like narrow down the ones where you see James Patrick March, you will very heavily see the case of H.H. Holmes definitely influenced that, which, as I cover other cases, if they were covered in American Horror Story, I will have a better like, I will have the episodes, I will have the seasons, the name of the season, all of that, if I can. If it feels like it is a direct or close enough replication of the character. I know for sure Richard Ramirez is represented in there, not represented, but yeah, represented would be a good word, because it's not exact, but it's good enough. Like, you could tell it's Richard Ramirez. And then Twisty the Clown is a variation of John Wayne Gacy, but it's not, from what I know, it's not nearly the same. Okay. Finish my makeup, and then that will be all. I will give you a little bit of a heads up. My next video is going to be on a case that is not covered a heck of a lot on the YouTubers that I follow. Actually, the 10 that I follow have never covered this one, so I'm a tiny bit excited for it. I'm not going to show you the photos yet of that one, but his name is Joe Ball, and he's also known as the alligator man. Yeah. So that is the next video. I hope you all have a wonderful day and stay safe.